Hello and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 352 at scavengerlife.com.
I thought that in last week's episode, people were commenting on the forum. It was interesting hearing everyone talk about their own frugality, the way they save money, the way they see money, the way that they interact with their family and friends about money.
Yeah.
And, we're
not the only ones.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, is that I guess a lot of people just don't talk about money. So it's refreshing to have a place where we can actually do that.
Yeah.
Safely.
Well, safely and very frankly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I love how people share specific numbers that they make and that they spend.
Yeah.
It's interesting, too, that there's a mix of people. There's I don't know if it's half and a half, but there's a mix of people who comment that, have full-time jobs, seem to enjoy their full-time jobs or feel they a need to have that, and then do eBay on the side. And then there's, people who are just full-on, that's what they do full-time.
Yeah.
It's just always interesting to see the dynamics of that and, why people choose it's one or the other,
Like I've said before, it's always amazing to me when people do have jobs that they love. I'm like, to me, that's amazing. I'm like, wow, that's incredible and good for them.
Yeah, no,
I just don't, I can't function like
I've said it before. How would society work if there weren't people that love being a nurse or love being, whatever job? Things have to get done.
Yeah.
Not everyone can be like us just selling trash, things they find in the trash. I don't know how that would work.
But not everybody wants to.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of...
And then there's a good number of people that seem like they're like, I don't love it's my job. I don't hate it, but I get great money, great benefits.
Right.
And, when I retire, it seems like a lot of people have a timeline. They're like 15 more years of this, and then I'm done. It's a timeline that they're counting out. I guess I also like to talk about it because we've said it's before. We're like the alternative to Frugal Woods or Mr. Money, is Mustache, or a lot of the financial independence people. Because, they're like, get a job, save up a bunch,
save up all your money.
80% of what you make a year, and do that for 5 to 10 years, invest that in index funds, and then you retire. We're the opposite. We're quit now.
Exactly.
Have all your time from here on out. Yeah. And we're not really, it's retired, but then it's making money on eBay, and then we're saving much more slowly.
Yeah. It's a different pace.
Right.
But, so when we talk to James Collins, that's kind of what he noted about us. He's like, oh, it's it's kind of the same strategy, only you're retiring now, sort of. Or, you're working for yourself now and saving and building, rather than, like you said, the minute you get out of college or high school or whatever, and,
I checked my Social Security page on the government's website.
So you can do that? You can check that? Oh, wow.
I don't know how I found out about that, but, the government has, a page where you can sign in, I don't know how they knew that I was who I was, but anyway,
well,
it works.
Obviously you gave them your...
Yeah.
Well, how did they know?
And so it shows you, or it showed me, how much I've made ever since I've claimed taxes. So way back, even when I was in
high school,
I think the earliest was in junior high when I had a summer job.
Yeah.
And it shows you, I made $1,000 a year. So what it showed me is when I worked for other people, I didn't make a lot. The highest I ever made was $38,000 in 1 year. And that's when I was living in New York.
Right. And that's not very much for New York.
And it's really that just shows me I'm a liberal arts guy.
Yeah.
Who worked at media companies, and I never asked for a raise ever. I would just show up to work, I'd work hard and just hope I would get boosted up. And and every so often I'd get a raise and all that, but I just think it's that kind of life I'm so glad I got out of,
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed the work I did, but at the same time I kind of hated it.
Well,
and so I'm so glad we hooked up, and you had the idea of let's just do our own thing, you know?
Yeah. I was kind of in a similar position where I had, you know what, now that I think about it, it wasn't even full-time work. It was like 9 months out of the year I was employed at this TV station. It's funny that you talk about a timeline, because I could see the timeline. And it was 15 years until I was going to be like a producer or like in the offices or
being able to make the decisions.
And I was just like, I can't. I literally was there. I think maximum I was there 3 years, and I was like, nope. It's not in my personality.
It was just interesting to see that page that the government has on me, where I see a life just based on my yearly amounts.
I gotta look at that.
And it was super sad, you know.
So can you just Google it and find the link? It was sad.
It was super sad. We can put a link to it. I bet I have it. I can put a link to it, so then
other people can
figure out how to sign in. And then it tells you, like, if you retire at 62, 67, 71, this is how much you're going to get a month.
Yeah.
It's like $800 a month.
Right. Which you could make go very far.
Yeah, sure. we could. I mean that's what we're paying into, those like self-employment taxes. Yeah. That's what that goes into. But it shows me now, like, what we accomplish while we've been together on our own. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just shows us, like, if we do the hard work that, I've always done, but if we do it for ourselves, we unshackle ourselves from someone else's thing, whether it be a media company or whatever else. I mean, then all that work is for us,
Exactly. And that's how we, yeah.
I mean, it seems like the only way it makes sense to work for someone else is if you are working in an industry that just pours its money on you. You get paid well, you get good benefits, they'll match your retirement. Like, that makes a lot of sense. I'm like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, if you have something like that, you're
I mean, haven't we dreamed of that? Like, there have been times when, in this adventure of ours, and I think it's you more than me, you're always like, what if I got a job and I got paid like $100,000 a year?
I got like a salary.
And I get like benefits, and it sounds really like...
But then they...
Like enticing.
They own you!
Yeah.
Like, I've had clients before, like freelance clients, where I'm doing a lot of work for them, like it almost feels like full-time work. And you're like, oh, this is what it would be like. Like, I have to be on a conference call, and I have to, make sure I've written up this thing, and here's a deadline. And that's what a job is.
And okay, I'm not supposed to email this person, but I can email that person.
But that person's not emailing the other person they're supposed to. Yeah, the office politics.
But I can't go directly to that person, because then it'll make this other person angry. And,
it's just I was struggling with that for a while, and you're just like, if you worked full-time, this is what it would always be like, not just like sometimes on a freelance job. And
but if they pay you well enough, I guess that's the kind of stuff you have to take.
Yeah.
But like, it was interesting, there was a woman who came on our forum, and I think she said she was in her 70s.
Yeah.
And, we were all talking about being frugal and saving and how we, cut back on things. And she was like, I'm over a 70. I got to live, I can't just, like, save money now, because I don't know when I'm going to die. And, and obviously the math for someone who's older is going to be much different if you're a younger person,
Yeah, you're assuming you have more time to accumulate, investments and things like that when you're like 20 or 30, but when you're 70, you can still do those things if you want, but it's a different math.
Yeah, I mean, I did not want to get into it. I mean, I just told her, awesome, enjoy life.
Yeah, you should.
But the answer I would like to give without insulting anyone is, the way we're frugal, like we were talking about it, It's more about, like, this is a life I want to have, and these are the things I want to do because they're enjoyable. Like, we were talking about, like, haircuts.
Yeah.
Like, we cut our own hair.
Right.
And we have forever, you know, since we've been together.
Yeah.
You know, I try to get you to have your hair cut by someone else, you know, like treat yourself, right? And didn't you go somewhere and it cost like $100 and I think you hated it.
Like
the experience was bad.
You're just kind of
like it didn't feel like you were treating yourself.
I don't work in a corporate office. I'm not meeting with like, you know, high executives where I have to like be all dressed up and I'm like, why am I paying this money for that? I work at home.
Right, like it doesn't feel like, when I think of, you know, splurging, often it just feels like a wasteful thing and I don't enjoy it because I feel like I've just wasted my cash.
Well, what don't you feel like you wasted your cash on? That's the question, right? When you do get something and you're like, that was worth it.
Well, I mean, we talked about this too. Like, we like to spend our money on things where we feel we got a good, it's value. It's for it. So, like, if we go on a trip,
right?
You know, like we'll bump up sometimes to like a higher flight seat, you know, because we like that experience.
Right,
like
exactly.
It's worth
bump up. Like
something.
It's like so minimal. It's like never
like we don't
class.
Right, but we find the special seats.
Like, I think I could get a little more legroom,
and that's
on this 6-hour flight. Yeah, exactly.
Or the it's vacuum cleaner that we just bought.
We just bought a vacuum cleaner, Dyson. No, God, I love that thing. I was just using it.
It's like a battery-powered vacuum. It works well. You can like vacuum the entire house in like 5 minutes, you know.
Well, and what's so great is like, we were talking about this last week actually, is like when you invest in tools that make your life better, like this vacuum cleaner makes our house so much cleaner because we're more likely to pull it out and use it because it's not this big heavy upright. It can go upstairs, it can go to the office, it can, you know, like, so yeah, it's interesting.
But even that, we spent time doing a research to find one that was cheaper than any place else.
Right, it was like a refurbished one.
That made me feel good.
Right, exactly. You know? You're like, this is the cheapest you can get it.
Right. So, I mean, that's my point. Like, I think even when we're older, like that, you know, 80.
Yeah.
And why don't we say we keep doing as well as we are and we actually have like a bunch of money, you know? Right. I still feel like I would still live the same way because I enjoy that.
Yeah.
You know? Because just like throwing down $500 on some kind of nonsense, that doesn't make me feel good, you know?
Yeah.
Just spending it in a wasteful way doesn't make me feel good.
Exactly. Like no matter how much money we would have, we still wouldn't do that because that's just like not who we are.
And I've heard people talk about that on the forum too, where they're like, you know, I've met millionaires and billionaires and they are thrifty and they drive old cars and blah, blah, blah. And that's why they're rich people.
Because they spend their money on other things,
Anyway, that's...
so anyway.
I thought that was an interesting conversation we're having. I will say, before we talk about some eBay stuff, our taxes, we filed our taxes officially. You know, we met with our accountant a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
She and he, it's like a team.
Yep.
They went through our taxes. They called us in. We sat down.
Yep.
We talked about it, and we said, okay, cool. And they filed them. They're done, and they're all paid for.
Done!
So
it does feel great.
And, you know, it's so much better when we plan ahead and do everything, you know, and our accountant, I could tell that you were very proud. He was like, these are some of the best taxes that we get because they're organized.
You know why? Because he's going to charge me more if they're unorganized.
Right. Yeah.
They're going to be like, this took us way longer. And you're like, nope.
Yeah, I think he charges us an hour for each of our taxes, you know, because we each have a personal and then we have our
business.
It's like an hour for each of them. And I think if we were to just go in there and say, here's like a box of papers, he might charge us, you know, whatever, 5-8 hours, you know.
That would be insane. Well, I guess there are people who have that money, but again, talking about spending money, that's not what I want to spend my money on.
Right, I mean,
I'd rather organize it before.
Because we're willing to spend a couple hours every a month, accumulating info.
I do our bookkeeping on the 1st of every month.
Right.
Because there were years where I didn't do that, and at the end of the year, organizing for taxes was an absolute nightmare.
So how long does that take each month? 2 hours?
I mean, max 2 hours.
And
maximum.
What do you do?
So for the thing is, we use GoDaddy bookkeeping, and with a lot of like big banks, you can just sync everything and like your credit cards. So all your purchases and everything goes in there. You can categorize it. But we have a couple small banks, small bank accounts for local banks, and for some reason our accounts do not automatically sync up. So I download the CSV file, I reformat it so that GoDaddy likes it, like I just reformat it the way they like it, and then I import it in, and then I categorize it. So that's what takes the most time. If I didn't have to do that, it would take me like 10 minutes.
I'm going to do a favor. It's for you right now.
Oh, really?
So we, signed up for GoDaddy bookkeeping a while ago. Also,
years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
It's when it was actually Outright.
It was called Outright,
it was a different company. And back then, it didn't sync to our old bank accounts.
Right.
You should try it now and see if they'll sync. Because I signed up for mint.com it's like another personal finance site that's free. And you can sync all of your accounts, and it allows me to sync to both of our small bank accounts.
Really?
Yep, it was easy.
The only thing I guess I'm afraid of syncing it and then having duplicate. I don't know how that would work. You know what I should try is syncing it like at the first of the year. That sounds crazy.
Oh no!
But it's like I wish that I had known that because.
Well, I just found out about it, so I don't know if they've like updated.
Maybe they've updated their back end.
Back then, whatever it was 2012, I think it was still a new thing for all these like syncing sites, and now maybe they've kind of got a standardized.
Yeah.
A system that even small banks are
that's interesting
connected to.
Well, maybe I can. That would. Do you know how much time that would save me? A ridiculous amount of time.
I wonder if you could sign up for like a free account
and test it.
A second account, test it, and then just delete it.
What I could do is, because it's categorized by account, if it did sync, I could like hide the old transactions or something. It would take a lot of time.
I mean, the good thing is it's only, so if you were to do it now, it'd be just 2.5 months of data. And I guess the question is it going to be more work now or and then save you a lot of work for
later,
the rest of the year?
Well, I should look at that. It's good that you said that because I should check it out.
Okay, let's talk about our week on eBay.
Yes.
Several things we found out now. It's one of those random eBay things. They now email us if we put something in our store, if we list.
Right. So for years and years and years, every time I listed something in my store, eBay would say your listing is confirmed and email you.
Right.
So like a year and a half or so ago, it just stopped.
Right.
Nothing I listed got emailed to me at all. And then just this week, every time I started listing stuff, and I was listing a lot of stuff, I'd get an email.
Yep.
So I don't know what changed.
I just imagine there's a guy at eBay in like a greasy shirt eating like a taco. And he's like kind of scrolling. He's like, I forgot to uncheck this. So I'll
this
check
has been unchecked for 2 years. I don't know why that's weird. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Yep.
It's really strange.
Something else I noticed, we love the fact that eBay did this thing a couple of years ago where if someone sends you a message about an item, you can answer them. You can also send an offer.
Right.
So it's like they're not even trying to get money off, but you can say, I'll sell it to you for X amount. Well, someone did that to me. I asked a question about an item, and they sent an offer to us, and I had never seen that. And it's interesting, it doesn't let me counter offer.
Right.
They're just sending an offer and I can accept it or not. There is no haggle involved.
Right.
And I think
is good or bad?
Interesting. I think it's good because it's kind of like because me as a buyer, I didn't start the process. The buyer, the person that's selling the items is telling me I'll sell it for X amount. This is the best price. I'm not going to fool around. Like this is it, I mean, Yeah.
I have to say that I don't like that you can't counter offer a message offer.
Really?
I think it should be exactly the same. Because why not?
Yeah.
You're like, I do this, and what if they're like, well I do this, and you're like, well, okay.
I mean, I'm sure
eBay
engineers are cringing for me to say that, but what if you could say send an offer, and you could say also allow
a counter offer
or not,
You know, if you're like, this is my rock bottom price.
Yeah. Because
I am buying some stuff on eBay, and it is that where they're like, well, I would do this much, and I'm like, you know, now that you said it's that much. This is all I want to pay because you went that low.
Yeah.
But no, actually, you'd have like a little checkbox, like allow counteroffer or not. Yeah, that's a good.
It's fine. I mean,
well, what's funny is we didn't know this until recently. We're like, oh my god, you can't counteroffer.
Right, because we had never had one of the messages. So I think in this case, we were just trying to see if we would just email them and say, would you take X? But then at that point, I guess they would have to.
They can't resend an offer,
and they can't manually change the price because there's an active offer. Yeah, it's just it just gets
complicated,
confusing. So and so as this week we got a lot of offers, just a lot of most of them are very low offers.
Some of them I took,
and so we took 2 offers on some items, and they were like $90, and one was like $110 or something, and we were like, yes, we'll take it. Unfortunately, both of them are unpaid items.
Yep.
They offered us. Mm-hmm. We accept immediately. Silence.
I send them an invoice. I say
silence. It's so painful, and
I mean that's a lot of money. That's $200.
And I know people are shouting right now, right, and they're screaming at their computer right now. Why doesn't eBay allow payment to be automatic when you accept an offer? And that is so true. And my only hope is that maybe with this new payment intermediation,
right, as they call it,
this new system they're trying to implement instead of PayPal, maybe they will put that as part of the system, because it's not very complicated. So if I'm a buyer, I make an offer, eBay should hold that cash for 48 hours.
Right.
So if the person who sells the item accepts,
you
then
get paid,
pulls it. Yeah.
And you ship it.
I mean,
and so here's the thing that's crazy. People give you an offer. You're like, you set the price, and I said yes. It's not like I,
why does there have to be? Yeah, I mean, and I still don't understand the only, why does eBay even do that? Why do they make the buyer then go through another step to pay? And the only thing I can think of is, number one, they're thinking, well, people are buying a vacuum cleaner. They make 3 offers, and then if they accept, and then if 2 get accepted, they then just pay for the one they want,
and then cancel the other one.
Is that what they're thinking?
Yeah, but you're not supposed to do that anyway.
Right. So the only other answer I'm thinking is that it's not good for eBay. It's just someone didn't think of it, and now that and now that eBay's so big, it's just it's too complicated.
Yep.
They're some software programmers God, I would have to rewrite this entire thing, and it's why? Who cares?
I mean, it's exactly.
But anyway, it was definitely one of those weeks where those 2 unsold items was very painful. Okay, our numbers for this week. We actually did a little worse this week
than last week.
Than a week ago.
Oh, it didn't feel like that. Is that weird?
Only by about, it's $50. So we made about $1,400, which is, again, it felt not slow. Sales were soft.
Soft sales. Yeah.
That's no better. But anyway, it was just average for this time of year. So we made, about $200 a day. Okay. But it felt like it was, again, another struggle. It's it's we're getting the buyers that are just buying our cheapest items.
2 items a day.
Slow off, offers that are really half price, and we're just eking it out, and it's fine. Yeah. This is sometimes how it is.
Yeah.
If you want to enjoy the holiday seasons when just things are flying off the shelves, you have to also enjoy this time.
You have to.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to eat it. Just bitter, vinegar,
Yeah.
Pie.
It is just, that's just...
But it's fine.
You know.
Hey.
We did sell a couple $high items.
Yep. But I did not have to worry about if I could email a person in the office so someone else wouldn't find out.
Did my proposal get rejected?
Yeah. In our second store, we made about $128. So again, our second store. This is the first time it's kind of dropped off for the past several months, where it had been in this autopilot store where we'd be making about $1,000 a month without putting anything into the store.
Now it's like...
And now it's just like, we're making about $500 in that store. And we have 939 items in there, so it's not a small store.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like our, again, it's our like experiment store. We can watch it to see how it does. We can try different...
Well, we are saying it's like a canary in the coal mine for eBay. You're like, when eBay's slow, that store's slow.
Right.
I use that terminology. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Slow.
Ryan, we talked last week about possibly on our main store turning on its shipping policies.
I didn't do it.
And where are we at with that? Like, how are you feeling about it?
I'm very close to doing it, though.
But are you feeling like it's a good idea?
Yeah, I think it's a very good idea.
Cool.
I need to do it before we go away for our next trip, which is not a very long trip, but I would like to do it so I could just say, handling time, 7-10 business days. Boop. Mm-hmm. Takes 1 second.
And then during our trip,
I can change it during the trip.
Instead of having to bulk at it, like take an hour.
I gotta do it because it's so much better on the second smaller store when I have to do that. I'm like, oh, it's so much easier, but it's just a painful process. But I did talk about it this week, and I was like, oh, I should just do it. Just shut up and do it.
Yeah. We'll talk about a couple things we sold. Number one, we sold some chalkware owl coasters. Anytime I hear someone say chalkware,
I scream.
I think, don't ever sell that stuff.
Don't sell it. Don't buy it.
And this was, so we sold these things for $6. Like they were, like, it was like a hand-painted, poorly painted. There was actually one
chipped.
coaster. One coaster was missing. It was just like
it's horrible.
Again, it was like in a box lot, and we're the kind of people we're going to sell
every little piece.
We're not going to donate anything, and this has been in a store for a long time.
Yeah.
The problem is it took so long to pack because you had to double box it.
Because chalkware is delicate. It's like ceramic, so
you had to double box it.
I had to bubble wrap it. I actually individually wrapped each coaster
for $6.
$6 freaking double boxed with all this packing material. Most of it's free.
So that's just like a matter of principle,
but yeah, you're like, it's off the shelf. Yes, I'm so happy. $6.
We sold some vintage
markers.
Markers for $50.
Magic markers. Now, we talked about this a long time ago when we found this huge stash of markers.
The story was I went to a Goodwill, and I guess that some school had emptied out a closet of old
like
pens,
stationery,
like bags, and they'd individually bagged like a bunch of them. And I stood there staring at them like, these are interesting, and I just stood there, and then I was like, I'm going to go for it.
Well, you bought a lot of them. What was funny
I bought a whole cartload full, but there was another cartload I could have gotten, but I was like, I'm afraid.
I think we were also afraid that since they were markers and stuff, we were like, there's no way these work.
Yeah.
Like, they've got to be dried out.
And then we
went home and tested them. We're like, these all work.
And we took the time. We were researching, being like, people
buy these.
So I actually woke up the next day, got there
6 a.m.
right when it opened, and this was, in a town 45 minutes away, and I bought them all. And we still have a bunch of them, but it seems like every a month we sell, a couple $100.
I mean, we have a bunch of them, but we sell them all the time. Right. Like, talk about a pipeline.
Right. I mean, I spent $75 on 2 carts of this stuff, so anyway.
Yeah.
It's a gift that keeps on giving. And then the last thing we'll talk about, we sold a box of glass bottles, and for $45.
Right.
My question is, someone might see these and be like, "Oh, look, just junk." It's just like, why don't you recycle those, or put them in a different context? these are vintage wedding centerpieces.
That's exactly like...
And that's how they
There's
sell.
no doubt in my mind that this woman bought them for a wedding.
How many were there? Like 15 or something?
Yeah, it was a good amount. Like, if you had a smallish wedding, I mean, that's actually a good size, one on every table or, you know, on the hors d'oeuvres tables or whatever.
And the cool thing is they already came in a box and they were already wrapped up in like a little thing.
So I double boxed those. I wrapped up that box and then I double boxed that box. They were green. They were like small green, almost like vintage soda bottles, sort of like that size, but not really that shape. But they almost look like wine bottles, but little.
Right, they were like a seltzer, but anyway.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's a good example of like just putting something in a different context. And that's how we labeled it. Wedding
centerpiece. Wedding centerpiece, you know, green vintage decorative glass bottles. Yeah. And... Look, with some emojis in the title. No. So that's a nice sale. That was kind of a long tail item. I think we've had that for a while. But but $45, you're like, great.
But you know what? That's one where I was confident. I was like, it's going to sell.
Yeah. And someone's going to want this for their decorations.
And that like paid for our phone bill.
Exactly.
This month. Okay, Scavenge of the Week. I mean, again, we've been kind of slow on scavenging, to be honest. But we did go to a thrift store.
Bought some clothes.
And I noticed that we got some good coats. And I feel like, I don't know about other people's thrift stores, because the spring is coming, thrift stores are like dumping their coats.
Yeah.
Because they know it's going to get warm and they don't like to store these.
They don't want to store that stuff,
I know it's about thinking ahead, so definitely stock up, you know, stock up on winter coats.
And since we're all, I mean, a lot of us listening are list it and forget it, list your winter coats now. It doesn't matter, you know, just get them up. You know, don't store them, just, you know, it's winter in South America soon.
Okay, customer issues, we talked about those unpaid items. Those were not good. It was interesting, on the forum, there was a woman, I think it's a woman. Anyway, she came on and said she had a buyer that bought a pair of shoes and wrote her 28 days after she got them.
Yep.
You know, right before the 30 days comes.
Right.
And says, you know what, I've worn these a couple times. They're just not very comfortable. She says, I've left the country, so returning them won't be possible. Can we have a conversation about this? And so a seller came on, you know, asking everyone,
what should I say that's not rude, basically?
And my answer is like, don't say anything.
Right.
Like, she's not asking for something in the eBay policy.
Right.
Like, eBay doesn't require you to have a conversation
about
There's
that.
a return policy.
Right.
The buyer can start its return policy.
And it's you know her prerogative to ship it back.
You know what? It's hassle-free. And then once that its return starts, then you can then answer based on what she's asking for. But But I'm never about like, you know, because the only thing that you can tell that person is it's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
You know? And then that just makes that person mad.
Right.
So I'm like, well, silence is better, because that's all that it's required to do
at this point. Yeah. Especially because she's like, I can't return them. You're like, okay, there's definitely not a conversation. Like, what conversation?
I mean, we do that too. Like, we'll get someone that gets a sweater and they're like, I just got a sweater. It's okay. The color's kind of weird. That's it.
That's all they say.
They don't say anything.
They don't say, I want to return it.
We don't say anything because this is not a conversation. It's like, if you want to return it, then we can go from it. But I feel like getting into these long conversations with people that are like wishy-washy and...
You know, it's one thing if someone says, these shoes don't fit, I need to return them. Even then, I'm like, what do I say? Because I'm just like...
Well, we just say...
You open a return case.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we tell people. We say, if you don't like it, return it. And that's it.
Like, yeah.
And I know there are sellers out there who are on eBay and they're like, well, that's not good customer service. That's not good customer service.
What is?
So, but I'm like thinking about it. It's like this: if you buy something off of Amazon,
right,
and you leave the country, and if you write Amazon and say, "Hey, I just got the item. I've left the country. I can't return it to you, but I'm unhappy." I mean, Amazon's not going to be like, oh, just here's a bunch of cash. I mean, they're going to like return it. I just don't think they would. Yeah, I mean, so I'm just thinking like, even though we're all kind of smallish kind of people that sell on eBay, we got to follow the policies.
Well, it's also like I feel like a time constraint too, where you're like, I can only answer so many questions and do so many things. When people are starting to have, like you said, like a wishy-washy conversation about like, the sweater they got, you're like, I honestly have so many other things to do than like have a conversation about, like you said, have a conversation about what you want to do about the item that you kind of don't like or do. Right. It's like,
return it, don't return it, just get on with it. Okay, things we learned in the forum, I guess these are other things. I learned that a lot of people cut their own hair.
Yes.
One person, Katie Scott, said that her 8-year-old daughter
would cut her hair. That is crazy.
I was trying to imagine, like, what is... I guess I'm thinking it'd just be like a straight, like cut like a long, just like
maybe
cut your hair like straight, like cut your
like trim it.
But that's definitely a frugal thing to have your 6-year-old cut your hair.
Yeah, that's very.
I love that because
courageous.
Orion won't even let me cut her hair,
and I just use the buzz cutters.
And I'm 44 years old. I liked how Steve. Someone asked like what they call themselves, like. People that sell online, like, are you an online reseller? Are you an arbitrager? Are you like a thrifter? And Steve says he's an archaeologist for profit.
That's great. I saw that conversation, but I didn't see the follow-up. I guess I forgot to subscribe to it. Yeah. That's funny.
And then I think the most interesting thing was Beth Green. She found... an eBay page that buyers see when they want to return an item. So it's like a help page, like if someone buys like an item,
a FAQ, frequently asked questions.
They get this eBay page that tells them how to return things and what the options are. And she saw that it told buyers that if they return something, they would get all their shipping back, including
the original shipping.
Shipping if they just changed their mind.
Right.
Which, if that was true, would be a huge change in policy. And the reason why people took it seriously and were concerned is, eBay's changing their shipping stuff, encouraging sellers.
Free returns.
Right. So it made sense that maybe eBay was trying to kind of like sneak this in or forgot to mention it. Like,
well, let me just clarify too, because sometimes it gets a little bit confusing. When eBay talks about free returns, they basically mean free return shipping, not free original shipping. Like, you're not going to pay for all shipping all around because that's already been paid for.
Well, because, I mean, think of what that case would be. So someone buys a jacket from us, and it's a heavy wool jacket, and they live across the country in California, and we ship that to them. It costs $15, right? And then they get the jacket, and they're like, I don't really enjoy it. I'll send it back.
Yeah.
$15 again. This policy would mean we would owe $30 just so the person could try it on.
Right.
That would be crazy. Anyway, that's not... It was a mistake. And thankfully, there was actually an eBay employee that kind of saw what we were talking about, and she went and checked with the person, I guess, in charge of writing that page, and it was an error. I mean, that, which is really interesting. And
that is certainly like a huge error, actually.
Right, but the good thing is that it got solved and got changed and got fixed, and that was like really good. Yeah. My only concern would be is that if we didn't happen to have an eBay employee pop up on our just personal website,
our little
forum, and see what we were talking about, I'm like, how do you tell eBay that that's a problem? Like, if you call up customer service, it's just some person in a call center. Yeah. They're like, I don't know. That's what it says. Right. What do you want me to do? You know. Yeah. But it was good. It got fixed.
That's amazing.
Results.
Okay,
our coming week it's going to be kind of exciting, right?
Yeah, it's a very busy week.
So we're going to go to an auction. We haven't been to one in a couple of months, actually.
Yep.
We're going to bring the truck. You know, it's going to be raining that day, so I have to think of, like, I'll bring a bunch of plastic bins with lids on them and a tarp.
And tarps and stuff like that.
Because we always go from an auction and we have a truckload of stuff.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure we can drive in the
rain home.
rain and do that.
Yeah.
But it's good. I mean, I don't know how people go to several auctions every week.
It's just, I mean, also you just get so much stuff.
Right. I mean, we get that truckload of stuff, and it takes us a couple of months.
Like, we're going through boxes from the last. We just pulled out 2 big boxes, and I'm like, this stuff's from the last auction.
Right.
Just, you know, that's just how it is.
So I don't know how people can go to. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that their house is just overloaded with stuff, and they've got death piles out the wazoo.
Yeah.
Or they sell in flea markets. Because we see that. A lot of guys sell at flea markets.
They go to auctions, they load up.
They go to auctions every week. They load up, they sell at the flea markets. They get, you know, pocket full of cash.
Right.
And but they're not getting the kind of money for their items that they could.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about one last thing on the forum.
Okay.
People seem really excited by junk drawers, Ryan.
Junk drawer lots on eBay.
It was like this exciting conversation people were having because people were like, what? I could just
throw a bunch of junk in a box and sell it?
And sell it for $50? Because we had a caller from...
Keith from Boston.
Yeah, from Massachusetts that says he would do it. And his voice and the ether were exciting people.
Yeah. But you were very, very skeptical.
I was like, let's curb our enthusiasm here, you know? Like, I believe Keith. I'm sure he's a good guy. And maybe he does sell these. But I was like, okay, well, let's do this in a scientific way. Like, what are you really going to put in this junk drawer that you're going to sell? You know, so you can, you know, people were going on eBay and you can do a search for junk drawers and it shows you what people are trying to sell. I saw a lot of it was like people were selling like, you know, 20 to 40 items, but they looked actually kind of valuable. Well, like watches, jewelry,
vintage shoes,
things that we would sell
just
for
individually.
So each item might be worth $10 to $15, and if you have like 30 of those things, that's worth $50.
Yeah, sure.
I think what people were getting excited about was like, oh, this pile of actual junk,
like actual
that
junk.
Nothing is worth anything. I'm going to sell that for $50. Right. I think that's
not the case.
So I was just telling people, well, you know.
Try it.
Yeah, put stuff up. And some people were doing that. They were like, I put some auctions up. I did this. So far, I haven't heard of anyone say they've actually sold, you know,
actual junk
for $50. But I would like to hear. I guess it would make sense, like, if you're being overwhelmed by stuff. Like, if you're one of those people that does go to an auction twice
and you're like, I can't
a week,
deal.
And you don't want to sell things for $15 each.
Right.
It would make sense to put things in a lot.
And sell it for
like
cheaper.
A bunch of watches or pencils or something.
It's really funny though, like, I think what's difficult for scavengers, you know, I look at a box that, you know, it's hard to be like, okay, this is actual stuff I'm throwing away. I'm not even giving it away, I'm throwing it away. So, you know, for scavengers, you're like, I don't even know if I could find enough stuff to fill a junk drawer box that might be valuable to someone else. I'm like, if it's not valuable to me, trust me. Like, I dig out of the garbage, like, anything
And then,
valuable.
you know, I think I would be uncomfortable building a junk drawer lot to sell that had valuable stuff in it because
I want to sell you.
I'd start being like, oh,
things.
Wait, but that, I could sell that. And
I know.
Oh, you know. So anyway, I'm interested to hear what people sell and how much they sell it for and if they enjoy it.
Are we talking about food this week?
Yeah.
Every time we get to this section, Jay's like, let's not talk about this.
I mean, I'm just like, how much do people really care about this? Because, like, okay, but...
Well, then just make it quick.
We'll do it quick. My feeling is I'm uninspired.
You made salads, though.
I know, but I'm kind of uninspired. I don't have any like new ideas about things to cook.
I've been really into making, okay, so I have this other tortilla recipe that I actually like better that I made this week.
Right, because it's first you tried it and it was egg based, so it was like a crepe.
It was like a crepe. Like it tasted like I was eating a pancake. But this one that I have is coconut flour and that psyllium husk and like some spices and whatever.
And oil.
Right. And I made them as thin as I possibly could, and I love them. They taste like tortillas. They're great.
And then did you make a quesadilla?
And then I make a quesadilla out of it where you had some like leftover frozen like shredded chicken. So I take that and I fry it with like onions, and I had some mushrooms left over. And then I do cheese, and then the filling, and then cheese, and then another tortilla, and then I fry that, and then I flip it, and it's all melty. And then I put sour cream, salsa, and avocado on it. And it's low carb.
And you know what? I had one, and
it's so delicious.
And after we're done, it's with this.
We're going to make those.
We're going to eat those.
Because what I do is, so 2 things to make it go faster. You fry up the filling, and you just put it in like a Tupperware container in the fridge. So the filling's always ready. And then you make a bunch of tortillas. Like I spent like Friday evening just like making like a big stack of tortillas so that they're just ready to go. So we just grab a tortilla and the filling, and you just fry it up. So you don't have to like make the filling every time. So that's what makes it easy, and it's so good.
It's super delicious. Like a Mexican grandma.
Yeah, you know? Exactly.
It's delicious. Okay, let's answer questions that people called in about.
Okay, you can always call us on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. You have 3 minutes to leave a message.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. Just curious to see if you guys are still using TrueGether. It's kind of a snoozer for me. Signed up maybe a year or 2 ago when y'all talked about it. Never had a single sale off of it. And then I don't know what's going on, but the last week I've sold 4 things on it, which is kind of weird. Happy about it though, I guess. But anyway, for full price. Just wanted curious to see if you guys are still using it. I don't know, I was using Bonanzas too. Still am. I get maybe, 1 or 2 sales every month if I'm lucky from it. But TrueGether, I didn't even know if I still was signed up for it, but apparently I am. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, I think my store is still on TrueGether. I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, I just synced up my eBay store and I don't look at it.
I can't remember.
The last time I sold on TrueGether. It was months ago.
Every so often.
It's a nice bonus when you're like, oh, that's cool. Bonanza maybe once or twice a month.
Yeah.
And those are nice bonus sales where you're like, all right.
I mean, but again, these things, the great thing about them is they're just automatically syncing, so it doesn't cost us anything. We don't have to think about it or worry about it. And so even if a 12-month period, if we make a couple $100, like, why not,
Yeah.
But, it's very random. Like, I'm just like, who goes on,
who's buying on TrueGether?
Who thinks of going to TrueGether to buy stuff? I don't know. It's like, it's
one time someone messaged me on Bonanza and they were like asking some question and they couldn't we couldn't figure out how to make an offer. Like, they're like, I'd like to make an offer through Bonanza. And I was like, yeah, I cannot figure out how to do that. And I literally had to be like, just do it on eBay. Like, this is my whole store. This is my eBay store. I don't think they did. I think they just, went away. But it's just funny that you're like, why are you even on this site? Where did you find it? I mean, Google Shopping. I think they find stuff on Google Shopping. But isn't eBay on Google Shopping? Or I don't know.
I don't know. It's just, it would be interesting to know how people find those items on Bonanza or TrueGether. Like, are they, I guess it would make sense if it's just through Google Shopping.
And they just think they're buying through Google or something. Right. I don't know.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, it is Glenn with the Potter's Pickers. Hey, guys, I really appreciate what you guys are talking about with regards to money and people being uncomfortable talking about it. And I think the reason for that is for the same reason people don't like talking about weight loss. They simply don't want to do what's necessary. They don't have the discipline to make it happen. So nobody wants to hear that weight loss is as easy as calories in, calories out, eating less and exercising. They want the life hack. And I think this is the same when it comes to finances, when you just look at the average credit card debt that people literally enslave themselves to. People live beyond their means, and as long as we have a system that allows that, and in some cases even rewards it, because the more open credit that you have, the better your credit score can be in some cases, then I don't think that America can have the conversation about financial responsibility. So thanks for covering that, guys. Really appreciate your podcast. As always, God bless. Bye.
Yeah, so it's interesting you compared it to weight loss, because you said calories in, calories out, and that's just like finances, numbers in, numbers out, right? Yeah. You're just like, are you making enough to pay your numbers out?
Right. Like, can you deny yourself that big fat, 800 calorie double cheeseburger that you enjoy eating every day, right? And instead eat like a salad, a quesadilla,
a tiny quesadilla.
But that's a good question.
No, it's a very similar topic. It's things that people don't want to talk about for reasons of being uncomfortable and not wanting to hear it.
I guess a good thing for us is I think of we've always been good and thrifty, but even when we were together in New York and San Francisco, we didn't have budgets. We were just kind of frugal. Right. We weren't.
We were like hazily frugal.
It was only when we moved to the country and we started really working for ourselves, we started to actually learn our finances because we had to. Yeah. Because we had to know our numbers, because there was not automatic checks coming through from an employer. Right. I had to know how much we were making and how much we were spending. Right. So it kind of happened because we had to.
There was one point when we first moved here where we left the city and the economy was crashing and there was literally no work, hence why we started selling on eBay. But we weren't working and we weren't spending any money because we lived in your dad's basement for free, and we were like scavenging food and growing food, and we met these farmers and we were gleaning off their farm and trading stuff for milk, and I was bartering for wine at a vineyard. There were things like that. I mean, you can't cover everything with that, but we were so hardcore that I remember at one point being like, we had some savings, a little bit, tiny bit of savings that we were eating into, and we were like, we're not really spending any money here, we're not making any money, but we're also not spending any money, which is, obviously ideal, but, you can't always do that. But it's just interesting where you did get to a point where you're like, we have to look at this equation because we kind of don't have any work.
Well, I think it's interesting you bring that up because, there was a point in our lives where we were just like, how do we just not spend anything? But at the same time, we weren't making anything. So it's kind of like, how do you live a life where you're just not doing anything?
It's like evens itself out.
Just kind of floating on the surface. And honestly, I don't know if I really like that. I like
it's tough.
Money because it gives us more opportunity.
It gives us more options.
Right. And so that's when we were like, we sold on eBay a little bit. Right. We've told the story a million times. And we started realizing wow, we can actually kind of be floating on the surface, but also make money too, and that's great. And so that's a life we have now. Yeah. Just to end this, I just want to say anyone who doesn't do budgets, that's really the first step. Yeah. Sit down with a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, expenses and income, and do a monthly budget. How much did you make every month? Yep. How much did you spend? And you can either do it from the top of your head, but if you don't already do a budget, you probably don't even know how much you actually spend. So open up your bank accounts and just write it all out.
It is honestly the most painful thing you can do. And I swear to you, it's not fun. It sucks.
But until you do that, you don't know how much you're spending. And then you can be like, man, I spent, $42 in coffee. Right. Maybe I can change more. That. Someone came on our forum a week ago and had been like, I just did a budget and I realized, we spent $300 eating out. And he's like, I didn't even know I did that.
Right. And he was like, what was so funny is he's like, I'm a super frugal scavenger. Right. I don't know how that happened, but I gotta be more conscious about that, you know?
It's okay to spend $300 eating out, but if that feels as if it's a luxury that you can't afford, then that's where you can cut back.
Or you're like, I'd rather spend $300 on this other line item,
right.
So I'm just gonna bring a sandwich with me next time instead of, you know, going to wherever.
Hi guys, this is Crystal. I'm from a small town outside of Springfield. I just have a couple questions. You guys were talking about how much money you have to make a week. You guys said you make $1,000, or you need $1,000 a week. I was just wondering if that includes your vacation rentals to support that. Another question I had was why you guys do weekly numbers versus monthly. That's always been interesting to me. Do you guys sell things for charity? And if you do, how often? What charities do you guys sell for? And what percentage do you guys give of your sales to charity? Just curious if you guys did any of that. I had a buyer too this past week. Charged them for a package that I'd already paid the shipping cost on. And it was kind of weird. But I was just curious if this has ever happened to you and what you guys did to resolve the issue. Did you guys just get the package back and refund them, or did you guys send it back? I'm not sure why this happens. It's happened to me maybe twice. I do it for fun on the side. I just stay at home and keep myself sane by selling on eBay. So just a few questions, and I always like listening to your podcast. You guys do a good job, and you always are very entertaining. Thank you.
I love that. Staying sane by
selling on eBay.
That's cool. Hey, that's we've talked about that.
I believe it because I agree. Like we were talking about when I do freelance jobs or we go out and we do our video jobs.
Yeah, stressful.
I'm like, all I want to do is come home and list on eBay.
Right, just like
I just want to chill.
There's no pressure.
I want to sit. I want to list. I want to ship stuff.
Okay, so thanks for calling. You asked a lot of questions. Let's see if we can get through them.
So I do want to address the last question first, where you talked about, it sounds like at first I didn't understand the question, but I think what you're saying is you received a package back that was returned to sender and like your buyer never said anything and there was probably some yellow label from the post office on there because of an address mix-up or something. I mean, you have the choice to contact your buyer and say, hey, this came back to me. I'm happy to ship it back to you. What happened? And when that's happened to me, I make it very clear that they have to pay for shipping again.
Right.
You know, was your address forwarded? Blah, blah, blah. You know, do you have a work address I can send this to? Something like that.
Right. So the other question, you asked some other ones. One was, why do we do our numbers every week? I mean, we just do that because we do a podcast every week. So
the podcast is every week, so it'd be weird if we did the podcast and we're like, we're not going to talk about our numbers till then.
I mean, we've always kind of said that the podcast is kind of, we like to anchor it in our numbers for the week, you know. So, you know, a lot of what we talk about are things we sold and how we did and, you know, how we interacted with
issues,
eBay. So that's why. And plus, it just gives us a goal. I mean, it's like we said, we need to make $1,000 every week in gross sales to just afford the life we choose to have. And then you ask for, so income from our rental properties for us is
not
bonus.
Included. Yeah, it's not included in that number.
So, you know, we took over the years, it's been a slow process. We've invested our eBay cash in rental properties, in vacation or rental properties. That's new income, and that income is now helping us pay down debt, mortgages, possibly some other things. I mean, you know, so it's like...
We just don't include that in this particular podcast. There's another podcast for that.
And then if you ask, do we donate to charity? I don't really know what that means. So selling for charity, we don't sell for charity, but you know, like locally, you know, we give money to our volunteer fire department. I mean, there's like a local groups that we give money to. That again, I just think it's better for us. We feel better when we donate to a local people rather than, you know.
Yeah,
like,
because we see it directly helping people.
Yep.
Totally.
Hey guys, I don't know, this is probably maybe a discussion area on the forum. I've just thought it might be an interesting topic. I got a amazing opportunity that requires me to move 13 hours away. So I'm moving states, and I have a little store of around like 800 items. And so I'm making like decent side money. Do I take it with me? Do I restart it once I'm up there? Any ideas? What would be good? Most of my items, my medium price is like $23, so nothing is amazing. So it's like, do I lug around a bunch of 99-cent jeans? I don't know. So I just thought it might be an interesting thing to think about. Okay, thanks. Bye.
I mean, the answer's easy.
Yes, bring it with you.
Absolutely.
Unless the reason is you have this amazing opportunity and you don't want to sell on eBay anymore. I mean, then get rid of your inventory.
But if you're going to keep selling on eBay, I mean...
Why get rid of your inventory?
I guess, too, you just have to do the numbers. Like, how hard is it going to be to ship
all that
800 items? Is it like buying a bigger, renting a bigger truck?
Is it shipping it up there?
How much is that going to cost you versus what you're going to make? I mean, when you actually get to a new place, is there a place to store everything? Or are you going to have to change the whole kind of store you have because there's going to be different kinds of space?
I mean, I do want to say that would be a great discussion for the forum. So whoever that was that called, they didn't say their name.
Yeah, and then...
Go on the forum. I would love to hear what people think about that.
And then how do you... If you want to sell it all, do it. You just donate.
Yeah, like how do you just get rid of it?
I know some people, they say they bought out people's eBay stores.
Right, like you want to sell it to another eBayer? I don't know.
So our forum is scavengerlife.com/forum.
Okay, that is it for the podcast today. You can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we discussed and to join the conversation on the forum. You can leave a question or a comment on our voicemail line. Again, the phone number is 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video that shows what sold, how much it sold for, currently being brought to you by Steven Schultz. You can rent our vacation rentals. There are openings this spring. You should check it out. The links are on the sidebar of the
if you can come
blog.
During the week,
it's much cheaper.
And it's much more open.
Yes, we have a lot of openings during the weekdays. Since you're scavengers, and you all have open, crazy, weird schedules. Okay, we are ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Bye.